was something interesting that came up on the radio the other day, and obviously today we are Red Nose Day, Comic Relief. And of course, your child can go in basically dressed whatever you want as long as there's something red. So some have chosen to go in costumes, and some have just, I don't know, worn a red sock or something. But it was interesting to me that World Book Day in particular was brought up, and this was actually why it came on the radio, is some parents think it's like a fashion show, or it's not fair because they can't afford whatever costume it is for their child to go in, and it shows, the poor against the rich sort of thing. I'm not really too sure how I feel about that, because whilst there are some costumes which are absolutely horrendous in price, I mean, if you want to spend, and personally I think waste money on a costume that's more than £20, that is by all means your prerogative and you can do as you please. I have bought my son a few costumes. They varied from sort of £10 to £15, but he loves dressing up and it's not wasted. He absolutely loves it. But that being said, the list is endless. He wants Thor. He wants every Marvel costume going, and of course, they're going to cost money because it's a thing. It's a big brand with plenty to choose from, and he will want it all. But he's not getting it all. He can have some things for Christmas and birthdays. Especially good behaviour. But it's not an everyday thing that I go around buying costumes, because it does end up a lot of money, and they're only able to wear it for a year if they're really into wearing it. Otherwise, it's just one day you're buying a costume for, which seems like madness to me, unless you're going to reuse it for Halloween or another dress-up event that year. So I don't feel like children are missing out. I know some children are probably desperate for a certain thing, but then that's your job as a parent to be realistic with them and manage their expectations for them, because obviously they don't know how to do that. But what I did, my son is only 3, very nearly 4, so obviously I haven't got an older child who may struggle more with perhaps feeling left out if they are. I doubt very much this happens. If it does, it's awful and shouldn't happen. But if they are like the only one in the class without a costume, then yeah, that should not be allowed to happen at all. But as a parent, personally, I would do everything I could to make sure that didn't happen. So I would either buy a costume if I had the money to do it. If I didn't have the money, and I knew someone who had multiple costumes or even one spare, I would ask them to borrow it. I would have a go, depending on what it is, at making something for them to wear. And I did an example of this is I did this for my son back, I think it was a couple of years ago. It was Pudsey Day or whatever it was, and I'd forgotten to buy a £2.50 t-shirt for him, which I had intended to do, just didn't get around to doing. And I suddenly thought the day before, it's too late to order anything, and if I go out now they'll all be sold out, or the only ones left will be the expensive ones, and he's only wearing it for a day. Didn't really want to spend the £2.50 anyway. So I frantically looked through a bag of his old clothes that I'd just bagged up, that he wasn't wearing anymore, just that tiny bit too small. And I came across a Jungle Book pyjama top. It had a white background with the characters on. And I thought, what can I do with this? Because I didn't care about it anymore. It was only going to go to a charity shop and it was just whatever. So I turned it inside out, because that way it was all white, and it didn't look visibly like an inside out top because of the way the stitching was done, so it could have just been a white top. And I got some highlighters that I had, so you don't get a huge selection in colour, so I think it was pink, blue, green and yellow, and literally all I did was do circles, coloured in circles of all the different colours that I had in highlighters and did that all over the top, the sleeves, everything, because it had to be something colourful or spotty or something, whatever the thing was. And that's what I did. And it didn't look cheap, it didn't look nasty. I mean, I know he was very young, so he could probably have got away with it being horrendous, to be honest. But no one ever said, or, you know, there was no... I probably could have sold it, to be honest. But yeah, you don't have to have the money to do things. And even now, if I didn't have the money, I would get... If I didn't have a top I could use at home, I would buy the cheapest of a cheap white basic top. And I would... again, you don't have to be an artist, but I would draw... I mean, my son is massively into Superman at the moment, and he's massively into Spider-Man. I can't draw Spider-Man, I can't draw Superman, but I can draw a spider, and I can probably do an okay job at doing the Superman badge. And all you need is the colours and I mean, Christ, if you've got a child, generally you're going to have felt tip pens or something that you can use to do that onto a top with. And it doesn't have to cost you any money. Or just go to the pound shop and get a quick pack of pens. Or again, they do tops even in the pound shop now. Do that yourself. It was just a thought that occurred to me. That, yeah, it is, you know, times are absolutely horrendous that we're living in. Food cost is horrendous. The living prices are a joke. I'm renting, and I can't believe the amount we're spending in rent a month. And that can't be used to help us buy anywhere. Not that I can afford to buy anywhere. I don't know how you do. I genuinely don't know how you afford to buy anywhere, especially in Essex. I mean, London's just as bad, obviously. Oh, it's all right, just move up north. I don't want to move up north. I would love to live in the countryside, but that's not for now. That's for a much, much later time in my life, if I ever could do it. Because with all moving somewhere that's less in housing cost, it's generally less in wage cost as well. So, you know, it's not practical. Plus my family's here. You don't want to have to do that just to get, you know, on the ladder. I don't know how you get a deposit. I don't know how you prove you're worthy, because apparently paying years in rent without a single missed date of a payment doesn't work, doesn't contribute to it, that's got to change. The rent has to come into effect of it, because you're literally leaving someone stuck paying someone else's mortgage the rest of your life. And not only that, the rent obviously is going up and up and up every year. Luckily, you know, sometimes you might have a landlord that doesn't do that, but if they're within their right to do that, then why wouldn't they? And some landlords are obviously all out for themselves, and they don't really care about the people that they're renting to. If I ever came into money and I had the luxury of owning some property, I actually wouldn't hike up the price. If I didn't need the money, excuse me, if I didn't need the money, I wouldn't do it. It's just pure greed. Not just this country, but obviously every country. It's just greed takes over, and people are forgotten about. It's disgusting. But in terms of the Pudsey thing and the red nose and the Halloween or whatever costume day it may be at a school, you shouldn't try and ban it. I don't think anyone has tried to ban it, but I don't think you should be in it's not fair because I can't afford to get my child the best outfit. That doesn't make you a lesser person just because someone has decided to waste that money on an outfit. And you can call it wasting, but if you're like, you know, if my son is anything like this and they love wearing outfits and they get the use out of it at home, it was worth the money. And it's awful if you cannot afford it. I mean, charity shops might have some, and, you know, like I said, friends, family, if you know somebody who's got more than one outfit or an outfit they're not using, ask. By all means, just ask. And I would be in the mind of renting, not for money, but I'd happily lend a stranger one of my son's outfits. But in a world we live in, I can't trust I'd get it back. And if I didn't care about getting it back, I wouldn't mind. But the fact that my son still uses it, I wouldn't be prepared to let someone I don't know take it on, which, you know, I think is very reasonable. But yeah, if I'm done with it, then I'm happy to just let someone have it. If it saves them, stressing out about it, and it means their child gets to have something that they would really love, but the parents just can't afford, then that would be amazing. And when my son grows out of his, I will give them away, because I don't need them. Charity shops, although they're still cheap, they do charge still, so I'd be happy just to let someone have them. But yeah, that was just a thought I had, and although it isn't always obvious when you're in a situation and all you can think is, I need to buy an outfit, I need to buy one, I can't afford it, and I've trawled everywhere, I can't think, and no one I know has one or anything. Sometimes the answer isn't staring you in the face, and the answer could be as simple as that suggestion of getting an old top. If you have to turn it inside out, turn it inside out. Get some pens or something you can print onto the top of your child's favourite thing, or whatever it is they want to go as. It doesn't, even you can use a dressing gown for a belt, and again, I know it's not going to look fantastic, it doesn't need to, it just needs to resemble somewhat of what that child is looking to do. I don't know what age they stop being interested in dressing up anyway. I certainly don't think I did, but I don't think you do for very long. But yeah, so it's just hopefully that helps somebody have a light bulb moment where if you're desperately trying to think, oh, what can I just... Again, Halloween comes up, and you don't want to buy an outfit, don't. Just get something from the cupboard that you, even if, you want it a bit bigger, something you're not using anymore, cut it up or whatever. Get those pens out. At least they're coming in handy, because if they're not being drawn all over the walls, then at least they can be used for my son's stuff that I forget to sort out last minute. And it's amazing how crafty you can be when you become a parent, because there's certain things I never would have done before now. But yeah, no, it was just an interesting topic that came up on the radio about the World Book Day, because some parents were talking about that divide of, well, you've got money and this one hasn't. But again, you can't punish someone for having the money and being able to do something you can't do. That's just jealousy. Like, you can't help that. It's not nice to, but again, that's down to you as a parent to manage that child's expectations. Yeah, I know you want to go as whatever, but I'm really sorry, but you can't. Do you want to help me make something for you to wear? And they might be more open to that idea than you realise. And it might be a fun thing for you both to do together rather than just by yourself. They might be more inclined to wear it now, and you've both done that together. Again, this all depends on the age of the child. But yeah, I think... And even if you didn't have fully all the supplies, all you need is a top and some pens, or even glitter, whatever you want to do, go to the pound shop. They've got tons of craft stuff in there. It's all cheap. Hobbycraft are quite cheap for what they're doing as well. But then, if you're going down that route, you're probably on your way to probably affording an outfit anyway. And there's got to be some on Marketplace, like Facebook Marketplace, and various eBay sites where there's used stuff that you could have for an okay price if you wanted to pay it. But yeah, there's going to be a divide all the time. As long as there's money and there's poor, as long as there's fat, there's thin, and all the rest of it, it's always going to be there. So someone complaining about World Book Day and not having the option of buying an outfit for their child, it's a shame that you can't, but it's not anyone's fault that's happened. Yeah, and I just wanted to share that. I'm sure if someone else heard that, it just made me think, and I thought, I didn't even... And you probably think, well, if you didn't have to think about it, you're not poor. Well, no, I'm not poor. I'm not rich by any means of the imagination. We're okay. But yeah, it doesn't mean it won't be like that for you. And the same people who've got money, like, they're fine now, but it doesn't mean that they'll be fine in the future. So you can't judge anyone by anything anymore, because things change so quickly. But yeah, no, if just made me realise I'd never once thought about it like that, and I would always do what I could in terms of making it myself for my children, or just explaining to them exactly why they don't have those things. And, you know, if they behave and they're good, then they can have it as a birthday or Christmas present from somebody and just have to wait. And then next year they can wear it or whatever it is. But I wouldn't I wouldn't really be up for buying something just for one day's use. No, absolutely not. And if that's what you're complaining about, then you're really not missing anything, because it is a waste of money then, isn't it? If your child doesn't even like to dress up and only want to do it for that one, no, sorry. You can go without then, because you need the use out of it. I mean, I guess again, if it's different if you're wealthy and it doesn't mean a thing to drop that kind of money on a fine, you know, loose change, whatever it is for you. But yeah, I personally wouldn't. I would say no. If you're going to get tons and tons of use out of it, then yeah, I'd say go for it or make it yourself. Again, you don't. If you're a really good drawer, then go for it. But I can only manage the badges or something very simple out of whatever it is, like the Marvel characters my son likes and the DC characters. I can only really do the bare minimum, like outline and stuff. And obviously I try and jazz that up as much as I can, but yeah, I wouldn't go over it. I cannot physically draw a person. I can't draw a superhero to save my life. He thinks obviously my stick impression of it on the paper is enough, but it's not. I wouldn't dare send him in like that. But yeah, no, a spider I can do, and a badge, or, you know, just the head of Batman maybe with the horn, the mask thing. Oh, the mask of Batman is what I mean, sorry, yeah. I could do probably. And have it not look too bad. But yeah, no, that was another topic that I'd suddenly realised that was interesting to me. So please don't feel ashamed if you can't afford it, because you don't need to. Make it or don't. Just make sure your child understands the way it is. And in all honesty, you might not even need a top. You might just need, I don't know, an accessory. You might not need an actual outfit, just an accessory would be enough. And you can make a belt out of anything. You can colour it anything, a bag, whatever it is your child is into. You should, there's ways around it. Obviously, I don't know what your child's into, so you just have to Google it and pick whatever, if they do have anything that they hold or whatever it is. You should find, there is generally always a way around it. That's my sort of thing of it. There is always a way around it. So yeah, don't feel bad about it. You're not missing out on anything. And I think as of end of this year, there'll be some of my son's clothes, the costumes he'll be too small for, that I'll have to chuck out because I can't keep it all. It's going to be madness. Plus with his birthday and Christmas, it's just going to be madness, and he will definitely obviously get new ones. So yeah, no, just a thought of the day that I thought I'd share before I forget it. Yeah, so enjoy that, and I will speak again soon. Thanks.